Today, we're diving into a case that is as mystifying as it is heartbreaking, the 2019 disappearance of Rebecca Modrall. It's a story with a really complicated relationship at its core, a trail of clues that just don't add up, and a shocking twist that pretty much brought the entire investigation to a screeching halt. So let's get right to it. This is the whole mystery in a nutshell. A young mother goes to see her longtime boyfriend and is never seen again. He was the only person there, the last one to see her. But before the police can even get close to figuring out what he knows, he's gone too. It just leaves this one giant question hanging over everything. What on earth happened to Rebecca Modrall? To even begin to unpack this, you have to understand the two people at the very heart of this story, Rebecca Modrall and Joe Coker. Their relationship, which was, let's just say, complex, is the backdrop for everything that went down on that final day. So here's the dynamic. You have Rebecca, a 33-year-old mom who worked as an escort, and then you have Joe Coker, her boyfriend of 13 years, who also happened to be married. According to Rebecca's mom, they actually met through her work, which created this really complicated situation right from the very beginning.
All right, let's zoom in on the day she disappeared, February 5th, 2019. Now, this date was a little different. Coker actually invited Rebecca to his house in Quinta, which was apparently something he almost never did. The reason? His wife was out of town. So it created this little window for them to get together for dinner.
Okay, this timeline is absolutely crucial, so follow me here. At 2 p.m., Rebecca tells her friend Will she's only going to be at Coker's for an hour, maybe two. She gets there around 2:30, but by 4:51, Will sends her a text and gets nothing back. Coker claims she left his house at 5 o'clock, but look at this last detail. At 5:41, less than an hour later, Will's second text isn't just unanswered, it's never even delivered. It's like her phone was suddenly turned off. So by the next day, you can imagine the alarm bells are going off. Friends and family are calling, texting, trying to reach Rebecca, but there's just silence. And as this frantic search starts, the first real clues about what might have happened begin to surface. So on February 6th, the very next day, the first break in the case comes from a pretty unlikely source. A homeless man finds one of Rebecca's cell phones just lying on a street in Coachella. He uses it to call her friend, Will, who of course rushes to meet him, just desperate for any kind of lead. Will pays the man a $20 reward to get the phone back, but honestly, this discovery just raises more questions than it answers. And here's why. This is the critical detail. The phone that the man found, it was her work phone. Her personal phone, the one she'd used for her family, her friends, her daily life, was missing. And it still is to this day. So now the police are officially involved and they start putting the first pieces together. That work phone's last known ping was only 3 blocks from where it was found. They do a welfare check at her home and everything is exactly as she left it. Her cats are there, her stuff is there. It's like she fully expected to be right back. The only things missing, Rebecca and the truck she was renting. On February 7th, it becomes official. She's a missing person. And this right here just shows you how frustrating this case was from the very beginning. Key details were all over the place. Was that last text to her friend never delivered, or was it delivered but not read? Two very different things. Was her rental truck found at some secret location, or was it found right there in La Quinta, where Coker lived? This kind of confusion just muddied the waters from the start. So with Rebecca gone, and this trail of evidence just getting more and more confusing, investigators had to turn their full attention to the one person at the very center of it all. The last man confirmed to have seen her alive, Joe Coker. This was Coker's story. He told the police that Rebecca left his house at 5 p.m., everything was fine, and she casually mentioned she might drive to another city. You know, a simple, clean explanation. But was it true? Well, the police definitely had their doubts. They interviewed him, of course. They brought in search teams with cadaver dogs to go over his massive 2.5-acre property. They even took the pretty extreme step of lowering the water level in a canal nearby, just desperately searching for any sign of Rebecca. Then, 2 weeks after she vanished, the investigation took a really grim turn. On February 19th, the authorities announced they didn't think Rebecca was just missing anymore. They suspected foul play, and they officially reclassified her case as a possible homicide. The pressure was definitely on. But just as the investigation into a potential murder was really starting to ramp up, the case was hit by a development so shocking. Well, nobody saw it coming.
and it brought the focus on Joe Coker to a very abrupt and very permanent end.
Yeah, on March 2nd, the entire case was just turned on its head. Joe Coker, the central figure, the only known witness, he took his own life. Right as the investigation was escalating to homicide, he was gone. And here's the wild part. Despite all the suspicion, the police had never even officially named him a suspect.
With Coker's death, the main path for the investigation just vanished. All that's left now is a cold case, haunted by a ton of unanswered questions, and two main theories about what really happened to Rebecca Modrall.
The first theory, and frankly the most popular one, is that Coker was responsible. I mean, as this commenter from our source material points out, the timing is just way too suspicious. His suicide coming right on the heels of the case being upgraded to a homicide, to many it feels like an admission of guilt. But there is another way to look at this. Rebecca's work as an escort and her past struggles sometimes put her in dangerous situations, so it's at least theoretically possible that she did leave Coker's house safely that evening, only to run into trouble with someone else entirely. And so we're left with this case that's just full of these haunting questions. First and foremost, of course, is where is Rebecca? But also, why did Joe Coker take his own life? Was it guilt, or was he hiding something else? And what about those conflicting reports about the truck? And could her disappearance be tied to some part of her past we don't even know about? In the end, this case is just a painful, tragic puzzle, but with the most important pieces missing forever. The only real person of interest is gone. The trail of clues is cold and contradictory, and the path to justice has all but disappeared, leaving a family trapped in this horrible uncertainty, just waiting for answers that, sadly, may never come.